Hello and welcome back to the Professor Podcast. I'm Tyler and today my guest is retired school teacher Leslie Robb. So hello.
Hello Tyler, and thanks for having me. Good afternoon.
So I would, well, as far as I'm concerned, I'd probably say you're the most well-travelled person in Arbroath.
Probably one of them.
Yeah.
Obviously I've always gone on holidays. I've liked to participate in holidays. Something I look forward to. Even when I was teaching, I tried to get away at least 3 times a year, just to recharge the batteries and enjoy myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, where did you first start exploring like really faraway places, Australia, those sort of places?
The first far places I went to was America.
Mm-hmm.
Mum and Dad made friends with a naval man at the base up at Edsall, and he kindly invited us over to Maine. So that was my first time on a faraway holiday, and then I went back to America and back to America and back to America. Then I started to go to Thailand 2 and 3 times a year. I've been to Vietnam, and then Emirates, because that's who I like to fly with. They put on a flight from Dubai to Adelaide, and that's where my auntie was staying at that time. So
Australia,
yeah, in Australia. So I went to Adelaide. She then moved to Hobart in Tasmania. So for the last few years, every October, I would go over and visit her. Sadly, during COVID, she passed away. However, it wasn't from COVID, but her daughter-in-law kindly asked me to go out, be more than welcome. So I decided this year to go back once Australia had reopened and went and visited there.
What was it like when you first went to America?
When I first went to America, it was very, very cheap.
Yeah.
We were getting $2.50 to the pound, which made things incredibly cheap. I play golf, that's my favourite sport, and I bought a full set of Satin Sneed golf clubs, which was 1, 3, 5 woods, 3 to sand iron, and they were $100, which cost me £40. It was the size of the cars, just the size of the houses, not even the size of the houses, but the amount of ground that the houses were on, you know, and the highways or freeways as they call them, they were just amazing. Every portion when you were out seemed to be, could have done me and my dad together. You know, if you went for an ice cream, it was, I think the smallest portion was 4 or 5 scoops of ice cream with all the fruit and that squishy cream on top, and you could get nuts and like hazelnuts, or you could get Reese candies.
Yeah.
It was just incredible, absolutely incredible. And then the weather was great as well, you know.
And which state was this?
The first state I went to was Maine. We flew from Glasgow to Montreal, then we got a flight down to Boston, and then Bill and Eileen, who we were staying with, they came down to Boston and we drove up there. I actually worked in America 2 summers in a row when I was at college it was called BUNAC, which was the British University's North American club, and you worked for 8 weeks. You were on a summer camp in New York State, and you looked after Jewish children who were sent there from their parents to a camp, which gave you loads of different sports: tennis, basketball, soccer as they call it. There was crafts, there was swimming, there was water skiing. It was great. It was absolutely great. So I did that 2 years in a row, and I think I kind of got the bug for America after that, and I kept returning.
You said that after you went to America, you also went to Thailand. What attracted you to Thailand?
Well, because I'd been going to America so often, and then unfortunately things didn't work out in my life, and I decided to try something different. I was on, I think it was CFAX or Teletext or something, and this came up 2 weeks in Pattaya in Thailand, in a 4-star hotel, which looked great, and I phoned the travel agent and said I was going on my own, and it was 499 originally, but when I said it was on my own, they said, oh, it'll be more expensive, and I thought, oh, here we go, single room supplement, under occupancy, etc., etc. And I was very pleasantly surprised when the woman said, it's 525, but it's from Manchester, and I went, that's fine, just book it. So I went there. I thought the people were great. Again, things all seem to revolve around money and finances, but when I first went there, we were getting 72 back to the pound. So you could do the maths as well as me. The £300 was 21,000 baht. At the moment, it's 42.
Yeah.
So it's £500 now to get the 21,000 baht. So things have gone up by 40%.
Yeah.
So it's no longer the way it was. When coming up to my retirement, I really had planned to do, as I said earlier, I enjoy golf, and I've actually thought about going to Thailand from November to March, and then coming back here for the golf season, which invariably is April to October, and that was the plan. But as I said, because the pound's so weak now, it's just, you can't afford it.
Yeah.
You can't afford it. I took a year out from, well, I didn't take a year out, but I decided to go to Vietnam just to see what like that was.
Yeah.
I would still like to go to Japan, Cambodia, and probably Sri Lanka as well. Yeah, but that's all in the future. And as long as things continue the way they are, it's something to plan and look for.
What would you say is your favourite airport that you've been to?
The favourite airport would be Dubai.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's absolutely massive.
Yeah.
And the changes that I've seen in the 19 years, probably 20 years now that I've travelled through Dubai, is just incredible. They've got their own terminal, which is specifically just for Emirates. One part is for the A380s, which is the double-decker plane. And it's just incredible. It is incredulous. I'm very fortunate that because I've flown so often, at the moment I've got a gold card, so I get to go into the Emirates lounges and that, so you're able to sit down, have a nice meal, a couple of drinks to relax yourself, read a newspaper, go and watch the TV, so that's always been fine as well. But I would definitely say Dubai is probably the best airport I've been in. Everything's so easy to find. There's an underground train that you might have to go from Terminal A and B to Terminal A to Terminals B and C, but it's just like clockwork. One train comes in, and probably 5 minutes later another train comes in, and it's just like that. You know, and they've got loads of people wandering about, helping you where you go, and do you know your gate? Would you like one of these, like a golf cart to take you from terminal to terminal, from gate to gate, and that as well. But Dubai, and like the duty free and everything is just whatever you want to buy, you can buy in Dubai, you know. So it's good.
So what's your experience with really long flights been like?
Okay. Coming back from Australia, I've always found hard.
Of course.
The jet lag, it's usually taken 3-4 weeks to get back into it, because you're looking at 11-12 hour time difference. Hence nowadays I tend to stop off in Dubai, even if it's just for a week, 10 days, just to sort of break it up, because it's only a 4 hour time difference from Dubai, so I find that easier to deal with. Going, it's fine, but I think that's excitement as well, that you're really looking forward to getting there and starting your holiday, and as I said, coming back. What I was told many years ago is, as soon as you get on the plane, so if I'm going from Glasgow to Dubai, and say it's 12 o'clock here, then I set my watch to 4 o'clock their time, and it's the same when I'm flying to Australia or flying to Thailand. I put my watch to their time, so that when I look at my watch, I think, oh, it's 9:30 at night, 10 o'clock at night, I should be thinking about sleeping or whatever, and just to try and get your body into that mindset. It is harder. The older you get, I find it harder the older I've gotten, but it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable. I've been very, very fortunate that I've had quite a lot of upgrades to business class in that, which is a completely different world. You've got in Emirates you get the bed that goes flat, etc., etc., and that makes a huge, huge difference. However, at the moment, you could probably get a flight to Dubai economy class for £600-700, maybe cheaper. Business class will cost you £2,500.
Wow.
So it's about 4 or 5 times the difference, and I'm okay as well. I'm small, I'm only about 5'5", something like that. So the seats are fine for me, but obviously bigger people and that would find it a bit more uncomfortable. But I find it okay. You know? I think the service in that is good. However, the best service I've ever had was with United Airlines. Actually took my mum and dad to Las Vegas, and it was just incredulous. You know, the stewardess and stewards, they were absolutely brilliant. They were constantly at you, is everything okay? Can we get you any? Would you like another drink? Would you like water? Are you needing something to eat? Would you like some fresh fruit? They were very, very good. I was very impressed with them as well.
Great. You also mentioned Australia. Can you tell me about your favourite places there?
Well, I've only been to Adelaide, where I stayed, and I've been to Tasmania 6 or 7 times now. I've flown into Melbourne and I've flown into Sydney. I've never actually had a stopover there. Even Janet, who stayed with us time, had suggested maybe if I go back, or when I go back, maybe 3 or 4 days in either Melbourne or Sydney, just to see what like it is there. Tasmania is very, very similar to Scotland. The mountains, the trees, the vegetation. Obviously it's an island, and there's ocean all around about. Hobart's very nice. The centre of Hobart is basically a square, where all the shops are within this one square. And very, very easy to get about. Transport system. The thing I liked, the first time I went to Australia, as I said, that was to Adelaide. When you went out, I just couldn't get over how wide everything was. Again, the house is similar to America. Nice huge plots that they were on, although they call it a block of land. And like there's parks everywhere for the kids. And I would say the Australians are very much, they work to live, whereas we sometimes live to work. And there was loads of activities in place for everybody. You know, it was a nice place in that. You know, in comparison with Scotland, things were dearer, but then the wages were a lot higher in that as well. So it was fine. It was fine. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
What about Europe, travelling around? It could be the mainland or the home countries.
I've been in Europe. I've been to Sardinia. Again, that was to stay with the couple that my mum and dad knew, although we were there as a family in Sardinia. He was stationed there. I've been to Spain several times. I've been to Mallorca. I've been to Menorca. We had a cruise, well, mini cruise. It was only 3 days or 2 nights, 3 days or something. And that was from Newcastle up to Norway. It was very, very interesting as well. I've been to Tunisia. I know that's not mainland Europe, but it's just across the Mediterranean Sea from the likes of Italy and Greece and that. I've been to Greece. I've never been to France. I've never been to Germany, Holland. I've flown into Holland, but I've never actually been to any of these countries. Is that on my wish list to do? Might be. I'm no overly struck with France, but that's just my opinion. But certainly Germany would be worth going to see. I'd like to go back to Italy, especially Rome, just to see just to see all the ancient things there, because I really liked Roman history and that. But I've never done that. Greece was really good. Hottest place I've ever been in my life was Tunisia. And I'd been in Las Vegas and that in the middle of the summer, but Tunisia was stiflingly hot. You just couldn't wander about and that, you know. But yeah, we'll see what happens in the future. As long as I feel healthy and I'm fit enough to go, then yeah, I've hopefully got a few more years of travelling. And as I said, I would really like to go to Japan
Yeah.
and other places not in the Far East and that, just to see what like that.
What would you like to see in Japan?
Mount Fuji.
Yeah.
I would like to go on the boat, I think it's called.
Mm.
I think that would be good. I wouldn't mind going to see where, tragically, where the atomic bombs and that
Yeah.
were dropped, but I think that would be fascinating
Yeah.
to see. I would like to travel a few more states in America.
Yeah.
My mum and dad, they went to Hawaii, and my dad was very, very impressed with the Arizona, which was sunk in Pearl Harbor. He got very emotional about that, and I think I'd like to go and see that for his sake and my mum's sake as well. But as I said, in Japan, I think I'd just like to try the food. You know,
Yeah.
when I go abroad, I'm not looking for a McDonald's, or I'm not looking for steak pie and chips. I'm looking to see what the locals eat,
Yeah.
and just go with that, you know.
Mm. Well, I know in Japan, Mount Fuji in particular, they take it very, very seriously on like how you interpret it. Like, I know there's a few artists who basically that's all they paint is just constant Mount Fuji, and keeps trying to find out like why people have this close connection to it every time they see it.
Yeah. I could see that happening. Like, I suppose it's like here, you know, painting the Loch Lomond and that sort of thing, you know. Yeah, you know, I would like to see Japan.
Yeah.
Definitely try the food, and that, just see what's what.
You mentioned there Loch Lomond. I was just going to ask about in Scotland, which places you've been to here?
Oh, loads of them, loads and loads of them. I've never been to the Orkneys or the Shetlands, or like the islands on the west coast, Outer Hebrides and that. But my dad, he was very much in Arbroath as a football team, and we used to go all over the country following Arbroath. So in the Scottish Cup, we were up at Elgin and places like that. Glasgow, I've been to loads and loads of times. Edinburgh, I like Edinburgh.
Yeah.
My mum and dad, they had a fish business in Perth, and so when we were little, we would go through there and help them with the fish and that. So Perth, I think, is a beautiful city. I'm very impressed with that. Inverness, again, a beautiful city. There's lots and lots of beautiful places in our country, and sometimes I think if we had the weather, say for example, June, July, August, where we were guaranteed, like if you were in Mallorca or in Italy or in Greece, that you had these 3 months where the weather was always going to be hot, etc. I don't know if I would go abroad, because I think there's so much more that I would like to see in my own country, as well as travel abroad. I've never been to Wales, I don't think. I've never been to Ireland, again, apart from passing through on an aeroplane.
The Dublin airport's quite a big interchange.
When we first went to America, you actually stopped in Cork.
Cork?
Cork Airport. I've been all over England. My uncle stayed in Manchester, in fact he still does. So I've been down there loads and loads of times. Blackpool, when we were growing up, every October holiday, but the September weekend, everybody seemed to go down to Blackpool to see the illuminations. Been down to Torquay, been to London several times. Loads of places. I think you can gather that I really enjoy travelling. You know?
Well, what about the UAE, like the Emirates?
In the Emirates, I've only ever been in Dubai. I know I could go to Abu Dhabi. The buses and that run to go there.
Quite a historic place, is it?
I think so. A lot of people go there for like the Grand Prix circuit, and there's a huge mosque there as well.
Yeah.
So that would be worth seeing. But no, other than Dubai, that's the only place I've ever been in the UAE. I think there's Sharjah and that as well, and they all look quite good. But I'm happy in Dubai.
Have you seen the Burj Khalifa in
Mhm.
Dubai? And what's that been like?
It's just so impressive.
Yeah.
You just wonder how it was built. Really,
Mhm.
I wouldn't like to say if this is 100% correct or not, but I think it was actually going to be called something else. I think it was going to be called the Burj Dubai.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and they named after. I think it's a royal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because Abu Dhabi, Dubai ran out of money,
Yeah.
and Abu Dhabi said, yeah, we'll give you the money. However, it's no longer going to be called the Burj Dubai. It's going to be called the Burj Khalifa after one of the rulers.
I know that in Saudi Arabia they're building the Jeddah Tower in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, but its height's classified.
Right.
And that's because of the Burj Khalifa, because they were both roughly built at the same time. It's just the Jeddah Tower isn't finished yet, and they've kept their height classified. That way, no other country tries to randomly just beat them by putting a spire on the top.
Oh, right, okay. But I've never gone up in the lift. No, that didn't appeal to me there, but the fountains and that around about it are just...
It's not just a skyscraper, it's a huge complex of hotels.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then you've got the mall next to it as well. And like, I couldn't believe it when you went into one of the malls and they've got like skiing and like but a proper ski slope with the moguls and that, and you think, geez, here. But Dubai is very much, we're the best of the best, and nobody will beat us, just like you were saying there about the Saudi Arabia. And like the London Eye, I can't remember how big that is, but I'm sure
it was the biggest in the world once it was opened.
But the one in Dubai is now the biggest in the world.
Yeah, and they don't try and make it the biggest in the world just by a bit. They like the Burj Khalifa. The Burj Khalifa it's not just bigger than the Shanghai Tower. It's like, I don't want to say 2 times as big, but like somewhere around there.
Yeah.
They tried to make one that would be the biggest. Full stop.
Well, it's the same as I said with the Dubai Eye thing, if that's what it's called. I'm not really sure. But it is massive in comparison with the London Eye. You know, and like I said, they always have, like even when I've just come back, they're building right, left and centre. And you just think, when is this ever going to end? You know? And but everything has to be bigger and better. I remember one of the first times I was there, and I went to the small sort of pyramid based in that, with sphinxes, etc. all round about. It was really ultra smart. You just thought you were back in ancient Egypt, or what I would think that ancient Egypt looked like. And I remember this very, very young lassie, probably 18, 19, something like that, and she drove in the same car that Vin Diesel uses in the Fast and the Furious, and she just got out, and it was valet parking, and she just tossed the keys to this valet and said, park my car, and I just couldn't believe it. But like, it's the most Mercedes, Audis, Range Rovers, they're just, every other car is one of these cars, and that, you know, it's just incredulous, absolutely incredulous, you know.
And you said before that your dad was an Arbroath FC fan. Now, are you from Arbroath? Is this where you grew up?
Born and bred. Well, I was born in Dundee, and at least I spent a couple of days in Dundee. The DRI, sorry, and then obviously came back to Arbroath. My mum and dad, they were fish. Well, my dad had fish business, and by that I mean he didn't go to the sea. He actually bought the fish on the quayside, and then he processed them, i.e. filleted them, made smokies, made yellow fillet, etc., etc. And here around in Perth, and so he would go with his van Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, Friday morning, and Saturday morning. And myself and Patricia, for pocket money when we were old enough, we would go, and it would be like, say you were going up to you stay Linton Road, so my dad would say, oh, go over to number 79, they've asked for a pound of haddock, and Patricia, you go down to 42, they've asked for 2 pair of smokies, and you would do that, you know. My mum, she was, well, my dad, he was clever as well, but my dad actually sadly had to get an exemption from the school when he was 13, because because his mum and dad, my grandparents, they were poor, and so he had to go and work in the family business, to help out, and that's the way things happened in those days. My mum, she was very, very clever, and she won what was called the bursary, which meant to go to Arbroath High School, because at that time Arbroath High School was a fee-paying school.
Yeah.
And so she got the bursary and went there. Unfortunately, because they had to get different kinds of uniforms for sports, etc., the bursary didn't cover that. So she left the school, but she always wanted me to do well for myself in education. And although I was offered to go into my dad's business when I was 16, I declined. I said no, I want to try and do my O-levels, and then the O-levels transpired into hires, and there's no such thing as hires pluses or anything like that. It was just O-levels and hires, and I wanted to be a teacher. Originally I wanted to be a history teacher, but I didn't do any languages at the secondary school, French or German, and we were told that to get into university you had to have a foreign language, so I didn't apply, but I applied to Dundee College Education. Was there from 1977 till 1980, and became a primary school teacher. My first job was at Inverkeeler, where I was there for 5 years. Then I moved into St Thomas's. Then I left St Thomas's and did 18 months with learning support. When I finished learning support, I came back into mainstream education and went to Wardytes, where I was there for 26 years. One of the years, 1 year I had a year out, and actually worked with the hearing impaired children. That was great. You went around all of Angus, so you'd be at like Montefieth High School, or you'd be at Killymuir, or you might be at Montrose, and basically you were just helping the children with hearing impairment. And although I did enjoy it, I didn't see myself doing that. So I came back to Wardytes, and then the last 3.5 years I decided to go back to St Thomas's. Always loved my time at St Thomas's, and I thought I would like to end it there, end my career there. I knew there was a job coming up, applied for it, and thankfully got it, and I really enjoyed my time there. But always wanted to be a teacher from an early age, and I was lucky enough to fulfil my dreams, as they say.
You said that you want to be a history teacher at first. Is that an interest you've had in history? Or?
Yeah, as I said earlier about the Roman history and Egyptians and things like that, and the Second World War I was interested in as well. And we had Mr. Urquhart at high school, and he made it sound just really, really interesting. I thought, gosh, that would be great to be able to do that. But as I said, you had to go to university to do your history degree in that, and then you went to teacher training. And as I said, it was pointed out wrongly, I may add, that you needed to have a language, because afterwards, I think that, well, no, I didn't think, I've got 5 hires, and when I filled in the application form, they said, why didn't you go to university? You've got 5 hires. And I went, yeah, but I didn't have a language. And they said, yeah, but you only need 3 hires to get in, so you've got 2 more than the requirement. So you'd have gotten in with your hires. And I said, well, it's too late now. I've applied to Dundee College Education, and I just went there, and as I said, became a primary teacher. Had a great career, really good career. I was always involved in the sports aspect, so I ran the football teams, I helped with the swimming, the cricket, just whatever sports came along, and I've always thought of myself as quite musical, i.e. I can sing, or I've been told I can sing, so I enjoyed doing that, running choirs, even got as far as doing a recorder group, right from Inverkeeler in fact, and but no, 2 regrets in teaching that I would say is one of them, not being able to play the guitar or indeed the piano, because I would have loved to just on a Friday afternoon, the last 20 minutes, come on guys, let's come round to you and let's sing a few songs, and that, you know. I know well, I know in the end at St Thomas's you were able to do that because fortunately you had YouTube and that, so you could bring up the songs that I'm sure you remember, and you would just sing along in that, you know. But like school shows, I've enjoyed being involved in that. In them, I was a member of the Abbey Theatre, Arbroath Musical Society, the pantomime, Arbroath pantomime, the Black and White Minstrels. I did that for a couple of years. I went to Downfield and joined Downfield Musical Society. So I've always had a musical background apart from being unable to play anything. And the first year we were ever abroad, my mum and dad took me and Patricia. I don't think Alison, my younger sister, was there. I think she was too small. And we went to Mallorca, and my dad bought me a guitar, a proper Spanish guitar. But when we came home, unfortunately, there was nobody in Arbroath to teach, and you had to go through, I think it was Vince Chalmers of Chalmers in Dundee, and I thought, no, I'm not going to go through to Dundee to learn to play the guitar, so it was like an ornament in the corner. But I wish I had done that. I really wish I'd learned how to play something, but no, I've met a lot of characters during my career, both children and teachers, and no, it's been really good. Been really good. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyable. Yeah, I would recommend teaching to anybody as a career. And not just for the holidays, but no, it's like any job. I think you get out of it what you put in, and I feel that like through the sports and through the music, that I put in a lot, and I got a lot back. You know, got a really lot back from the kids. One of the children, I'll no name because obviously this is going to go on whatever it is. But she became a teacher, and she credits me with doing that because she thought that after the way I taught it, obviously the first few years and everything. And she just thought this was great, you know. But other people that I've met have said the same, you know. So I would like to think I've made a difference in people's lives, and because they've certainly made a difference in my life and my career.
Right, thank you, Mr. Robb, for joining me today.
No, you're more than welcome, Tyler. I've really enjoyed it, and it's great to have a catch up with the next pupil. And I'm very impressed with what you're doing. It looks really, really good. I don't know if this is what you're planning to go into sort of film editing or some kind of filming and that, but just wish you all the best for your future, and thanks again very much for having me over.
Thank you for joining me, and thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.